Well, this is pretty interesting. Fox News has a show called The Five. The Five has one sane person on it, one of the five people. Her name is Jessica Tarlov. And it's essentially a show where four right wing nuts take turns yelling over the one liberal, Jessica. And somehow they had Elon Musk on, and she seemed to be the only one willing to ask a real question. And it's a great question. The question is, you, Elon, have been making all of these cuts and laying people off, but your companies are getting government contracts. How is that defensible? And Elon Musk can't defend it because there is no explanation. He doesn't even deflect. He just does his trademark blank stare and then shifts to talking about something different. Take a look at this.
I wanted to talk to you about what Doge has been doing. So you've been making cuts to a lot of the agencies that have open investigations and regulatory battles with your companies. At the same time, you continue to get billions in government contracts. Tesla gets billions in subsidies. How do you explain that to the American people?
Right.
Well, everything that Doge does is an open book. So I think, the most transparent the most transparent organization in government ever. Every single Doge action is listed on the Doge.gov website. It's also listed on the X handle.
Now, let me just pause here. If you follow American politics, you've probably heard that line 100 times already, where no matter what he's asked about Doge, he goes, we're the most transparent in history. We list what we've done on our website, and we put out excretions on X telling you what we've done. So far, it's not an answer as to the conflict between his interests in cutting and laying off and all of this stuff and getting massive government contracts. Has he answered the question so far? The answer is no. But he's got another minute. Let's see.
So if anyone has a concern about any one of those actions, they can bring that up. They can raise that. And I do want to say, sometimes we make a mistake. Nobody bats 1,000. We will at times make a mistake.
Okay, let me pause it again. If you've been following American politics, you've also heard that he strings that together. He has said that during cabinet meetings with Trump and others. We won't be perfect, but when we make a mistake, we will correct it quickly. None of this has anything to do with the subject matter in question.
We make a mistake, we'll act very quickly to correct it. I am under such an extreme spotlight, so much scrutiny, that it's literally impossible for me to get away with anything nefarious. And obviously, nor do I wish to. So this is a case where we have radical transparency. We're actually willing to admit that we do make mistakes. Often people are not willing to admit they make mistakes, but we are. But we want to emphasize we fix them quickly, and we're trying to do the right thing for the American taxpayer, for the American people. And I think history will be the judge that what we've done here and what we're doing is a very good thing for the strength and future of America.
What can he say? I mean, there is no answer that makes sense. How on earth can you face the American people and say, listen, I'm doing mass layoffs, I'm doing mass cuts, I'm completely wreaking havoc and just using my preferences as the barometer to decide what we do. I've handed over control of a lot of this stuff to 23-year-olds who don't even know what's going on and have no bearing, having access even to any of these systems. But I'm getting massive government contracts. And here is why that's okay. He can't do it, right? There is not an answer that is defensible. His companies, Tesla, SpaceX, Starlink, they are constantly under investigation for labor violations, environmental issues, workplace safety, treatment of employees. And at the same time, those very companies are receiving massive federal contracts and subsidies, documented, not hypothetical. And meanwhile, he's telling us how he's cutting $1 trillion and everybody getting laid off. It's going to be so good for the country and it's going to be so good for everybody. There is no realistic answer that you can give. And so he does not answer Jessica Tarlov's question, which was a good one. At another point, Greg Gutfeld asks Elon, when are you going to be on my show? And Elon does something that should make any comedian cower in fear. Elon tells Gutfeld that he finds him very funny. Now, you probably know where I'm going with this. Elon Musk has no sense of humor. The fact that he finds Gutfeld funny is a brutal insult to Gutfeld's comedic chops.
Question is, when the hell are you doing my show? I left voicemail messages. I've sent carrier pigeons. I get no response.
Well, I'll be happy to do your show. I've seen pieces of your show, and it's very funny. Actually, it's my style of humor. So,
by my style of humor, he means stuff that is completely not funny to anyone, which is how I would describe Greg Gutfeld's show. And then, sort of more substantively, but also much more strangely, when Elon Musk is talking about people funding and organizing the protests against Tesla, he brings up that we need to go after the generals. And it's kind of like, what the hell is this guy talking about?
With the purpose of intimidation, and it's harming innocent people. It's really terrible. And I think what we actually have to get to are the people who are organizing and paying for these attacks and protests. That's who we really need to go after. Because the people who are actually throwing the Molotov cocktails, they are the foot soldiers. Right. But we need to go after the generals, and we're going to do so. The president has made it very clear that we're going to go after those that are paying and organizing.
I guess what he's saying is the people at the protests are the proverbial foot soldiers, and they need to go after the proverbial generals, which I guess these are the folks, like he said in Wisconsin, that George Soros is organizing protests against Tesla.
These violent attacks, and Attorney General Bondi has said the same thing. I believe that is exactly what will happen.
Do you know who they are?
We're coming for them.
Do you know who those generals are?
We know. We do.
Yes. And hopefully the prosecution will be for RICO and an organized criminal enterprise, which makes the penalties even more.
The funniest thing about this whole, the Tesla protests or AstroTurf and all of these different things, is that implicit in all of this is that people would need to be paid to hate Tesla, and more specifically to hate Elon Musk. It's like, if you've been following what Elon Musk is doing, you know no one needs to be paid in order to demonstrate against Elon Musk. So he appears on The Five. One person asks a real question. Her name's Jessica Tarlov. He doesn't answer it. How do you defend government contracts while you are doing what you were doing? He just goes, oh, we're transparent and blah, blah, blah. He then praises Greg Gutfeld's comedy. Bizarre. I mean, some of the least funny comedy I've seen. And then he says that the unnamed generals, known to him, but he's not naming them, they are going to go after. And we are supposed to believe that this man is brilliant enough to fix every problem we have in this country. That I've got a bridge to sell you if that's something that you believe. After researching, writing, refining, The Echo Machine, my book, is finally out. This is not just a book about how American politics got so broken. It's also about what's happening right now and what we can still do to stop things from getting worse. Trump's been back in power. The results have been even more catastrophic than many feared, with targeting of political opponents and gutting democratic institutions, laying the groundwork to even further consolidate power. But the thing is that none of this is inevitable. The same forces that brought us here can be countered if we understand how they work and what to do about them. And that's what The Echo Machine is all about. Some say that without corporate media backing, books like this can't succeed. I think we can prove them wrong. You can get The Echo Machine right now at davidpakman.com/echo on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Audible, Kindle, or by calling any local bookstore and asking them to order it. This book is more important than ever. If you care about what happens next, and I do, check out The Echo Machine today at davidpakman.com/echo.